Hello everyone, this is Rashahacks and this is part 4 of the Linux series, and this is the most important part, and this is redirection. Redirection is something that is like the coolest feature that I have in the command line. Okay, so to understand redirection there is something that you guys have to understand, and that is file descriptors. So this is basically a presentation that I made to understand file descriptors. So suppose this is your program, okay, a Python script or a Ruby script, C code, something like that. You supply something to that program from your keyboard, and that is that stream of or a file descriptor, you say, that is standard input. You supply it from your keyboard, okay, and that program results some output. It shows something on the screen of your on your monitor. So there are two things that it shows. It could show some error, okay, it could during execution it could show some errors like installation errors or file not found, something, these errors. Okay, so that is called bad output, and this is this stream like stderr, standard error. And it could also show good output. It could show like valid output. You'll do ls and it will list files or directories. That is good output. So this is std out. So std out is output that you see on the screen. If I do a command, so this command pwd, we all know that it is used to print like working directory in which I'm in currently right now. And take this command, this built-in shell built-in as a program, a Python program or whatever you can, but it is a shell built-in. But if I just hit enter, then it will give me an output. So it don't require a standard input in this case. Standard output is optional. Okay, stdin is an optional stream. But if I just hit enter here, this output is standard output, std out, that you see on the screen. After standard output, you could get a bad output. Okay, you run the program and you did some like bad command, or you give file to some command and the file does not exist, then it could give you error. So that file descriptor is stderr. Let's read a file, okay, using less command, and let's try to read a command like rasha.txt, and this file does not exist. So if I hit enter, it will say no such file or directory, and this is like in the stderr file descriptor. When you get an error, when you don't get normal output, that is stderr file descriptor. Then we have this file descriptor, which is stdin, and that is the input that you supply from keyboard to some program, to some script. So right now I'm at desktop, and if I do cat ok.txt, then it will list an output on my screen, and that is std out, standard output, good output, no errors. Okay, but let's say so cat is a command that is used to concatenate files, to like add two files. But if I specify one file here, then it will just output that one file. But suppose I didn't specify any file, I hit enter, then now cat is looking for some input from my keyboard. So if I hit something like this here and I hit enter, it is taking that input and outputting on my screen. That line is stdin, first line, and second line is std out, that cat outputted, like it showed on my screen. Similarly here, right? So first line was stdin, second line is like cat read that stdin, and it showed onto the screen std out. So in this case it was stdin file descriptor. But now how do you redirect these file descriptors to a file so that you can use these things in like automation scripts and all? So for redirection, we have operators. stdin have an operator, this less than sign. You can use 0 less than or simple less than. So what is 0 here? So these file descriptors have numbers. stdin have number 0, std out have number 1, and stderr have number 2. So these are the numbers through which we denote these file descriptors. You can use this less than symbol or 0 less than, but for the greater than symbol we have collision, so that is why you can either use this greater than symbol for just std out or 1 greater than, or but for stderr you cannot use greater than, otherwise it will redirect std out. But to redirect error to a file or to nowhere, like I will show you what is nowhere, but to redirect stderr you have to use 2 greater than. So these are redirection operators, or you can say symbols, that you have to keep in mind while redirecting the output you see on the screen, or to redirect something from the keyboard, or so if you have a file, if you don't want to use this stdin as a keyboard input, if you want to like redirect whole file as an stdin, as a standard input to a program, you can use this less than symbol instead of typing the whole thing. So we will see like how to use these redirection operators now. So let's clear this stuff from here first. Let's do ls. Let's simple ls. Okay, we do ls. We got a standard input, no errors. Now we want to redirect the standard input to a standard output to a file. That is what redirection is, to redirect the screen output to a file or to take input from a file. That is redirection. So you have to use greater than symbol. So this will redirect the output that ls command will produce, and it will redirect to a file. So we need to specify a file name here. So let's do output 1.txt, and if I hit enter, then you can see that I didn't get the output this time because the output got redirected to the file. So you don't see any kind of output on the screen this time for ls command. The whole output is in output 1.txt. Similarly, if I do ls minus la, we have this output here. Now I can redirect this output to output 2.txt. And now you don't see the output on the screen. If I cat output.2.txt, so we have the outputs of those commands in these files now. So this is all about std out file descriptor to redirect it. Now suppose you enter some bad command. Okay, you enter some bad command. So let's say you are doing this output 3.txt we don't have, but we are trying to read it. It will say no such file or directory. And if I try to redirect this to output 3.txt, okay, let's say error 3.txt, okay, if I hit enter, then you can see that we have the output here. Why? Because we need some file descriptor that will take the output and it will put that output into the file. But we are using a file descriptor which takes good output, not bad output. So to send send or redirect a bad output to a file, you have to use 2 greater than, not just simple greater than. Okay, and now if I hit enter, it will not show the output on the screen. And now if I read this cat error3.txt, we have the error in the file. So that is how you can redirect this for std out. To redirect std out, you have greater than symbol, and to redirect std errors standard error file descriptor, you have 2 greater than. But now suppose there is something in which you have like an output, good output as well as bad output. So let's say like I will do cat ok.txt. I have this file. Let's do clear first. ls. We have cat ok.txt, and I can concatenate more files. So let's do this time temp.txt, but we don't have temp.txt. So if I hit enter, this will give this standard output, that is good output, and this will give this bad output also. So how can we concatenate both in one file, error as well as standard output? So to do this, you can just take this command once again, and there is something called and greater than, and greater than, and this will send the good output and bad output both. So you can like say both.txt, let's name this file as board.txt. I hit enter and now I have this whole thing in board.txt. If I use greater than symbol only here, then it will only redirect this standard output and it will show the standard error on screen. If I use 2 greater than symbol, then it will redirect the error onto the file, but it will show the standard output on the screen. Because I have used a file descriptor, an operator that will redirect both. So it took the whole output and it sent that whole output of the screen to board.txt. So if I cat board.txt, then we have this whole output containing good output as well as bad output, because like an error also in the file. So this is all about like Std out and stderr. Now let's look at stdin. So stdin is this operator. So instead of taking something from keyboard, we can also take something from file. So if I do cat, this will listen from the keyboard. Now what I can do is, instead of redirecting like to a file, we can take input from a file, and for that we use less than symbol, and we have to specify some file now. Let's say output1.txt. it have good output, I think. If I hit enter, we have good output. So we took this file, and now this file is like a keyboard input for this cat command, but we are not taking this keyboard input by our keystrokes, but we are taking this from a file using this operator, stdin operator, less than symbol. So this is how these file descriptors operate, these stdin, std out and stderr redirection operators work, and these are very useful while you are working with automation scripts and all. So in the end, let's see one more example of stderr. So if I do apt get install, let's do tor, because now I don't have root permissions, so it is giving me an error, right? So if I output this thing to error2.txt, it will show me the error. Can you guess why? Because I didn't use the right file descriptor. I'm using a file name error2.txt, but to send this error, this stderr to, because this is the error, this is we got the output, but this is error output, bad output, and to send this to some file, we need to use a redirection operator that is 2 greater than, not simple greater than, because it will only redirect good output, but we don't have any kind of good output on the screen. So to redirect bad output, we have to use 2 greater than, and now you didn't get the output on the screen because this output is on file. And there is one more thing. If I see output1.txt now, it have these files here. Now let's say I do pwd, print working directory, and I send this to output1.txt. Now I want to send this output of pwd in the end of this file, okay, like after output1.txt. But if I do this, then what will happen is that it will rewrite the file. So that is one thing that you have to take care of, that if you just use this greater than sign for a same file, then it will like rewrite the file. So in order to append the output, what you have to do is that you have to use this symbol greater than. You have to use the symbol 2 times. And now if I do output1.txt, then it appended the output. So now it have the output of this on the desktop directory. We have these files. So it listed all these files, and it have that output of pwd also. So it appended the output, like it didn't rewrite the files. So that is one thing that you have to take care of, that this thing will rewrite the file if you have the same file name again. But to like append the output, you have to use greater than symbol. That's all about this part. Thank you so much, guys. If you liked the video, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button too. That's all.